Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Ryan Green, Research Analyst at Nasdaq Investment Intelligence, to discuss the Nasdaq Sprott Lithium Miners Index. Ryan, it is great to see you. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Glad to be back.
All right, you got it. Before we get into performance, give us a high-level overview of what this index is about.
Yeah, so the Nasdaq Sprott Lithium Miners Index essentially seeks to track the lithium market, but close to the source. So looking at kind of production, prospecting, manufacturing of lithium. And it does this using an intensity score. So the more a company will have, the more that a company gets revenue from lithium, the heavier that company is going to be weighted in the index.
Let's talk about performance here. Review relative to two competitor indexes, how this Sprott index is performing.
Yeah, so the first index that we're going to take a look at here is it compared to the Selective Global Lithium Index. So the Selective Global Lithium Index is currently kind of the top tracked ETF index for lithium. So as we can see over the past year, Solid had a slightly better performance than NSLITP. However, if we look at lithium in general, lithium also had a down year due to kind of various factors. So that's to be expected. However, if we look at it over the slightly longer term, the past 3 years, including back-tested returns, we can see that the Nasdaq Sprott Lithium Miners Index really outperformed and was able to kind of track that uptick. So looking here at, or looking at the actual commodity, which I believe is on the slide that you just showed, the actual commodity is much more volatile than the actual Sprott Lithium Miners Index, and did actually outperform it over that long-term period. If we could refer to the chart quickly.
Yeah, we could certainly put that up.
Yeah, of course. So looking here, we can see that this actually did perform pretty much as expected. What's interesting is the correlation between NSLITP and the lithium carbonate is somewhat correlated, whereas Solid is not actually really correlated at all with lithium, the actual commodity. So if you're looking to get into the actual commodity lithium, it makes a lot more sense to kind of look at Nasdaq Sprott Lithium Miners a bit more closely.
Let's talk about industries and subsectors that are components of the index, because when I think of lithium, my first thought goes to basic materials, but there are other sectors and subsectors that are represented here.
Yeah, exactly. So what's really great about the Nasdaq Sprott Lithium is that it is very, very concentrated within basic materials with only a little bit in industrials, contrasting that with Solid. Solid has a much more varied index weight. You can see it's got kind of a large holding in technology, a large holding in consumer discretionary. So if we boil down a bit more into the subsector level, we can kind of see why this is. So Solid has a large holding in kind of automobiles, basic components, really things that are lithium related, but lithium related further down the supply chain. Whereas if you look at even at the subsector level, there's a massive concentration of kind of the index within the general mining and things like that. So this index really is much more focused on lithium at the base level.
And finally, Ryan, break it down into company level in terms of what's represented in the index.
Yeah, of course. So if we kind of look at the top 10 holdings of both of these indexes, we can see some really important additions on the Solid side that don't entirely relate to lithium that much. So as you can see, it's kind of got a large holding in Panasonic, which does use lithium in its electrical components, but has a lot of revenue elsewhere. Similarly with Tesla, electric vehicles are largely dependent on the lithium industry, but are not the lithium industry entirely. And then on the flip side, we can look at some of the things that the Nasdaq Sprott Index is able to hold. It's really holding more weight of everything mining related, as we showed, but also it's really able to kind of pick up some of these smaller lithium mining companies or lithium manufacturing companies like American Lithium, Anson Resources, Arbor Metals, and weight those heavier and catch more of the actual lithium mining companies.
All right, Ryan, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you. Glad to be here.